Okay, they're looking for Kamikaze in the forest. Kamikaze, Kamikaze. Hiccup called as loud as he dared. Kamikaze, shouted Hiccup again. Kamikaze. But no answer came from the forest, and after a while, it's no good, said Hiccup to Toothless as he stopped for rest for a moment because he had a stitch in his side. There must be thousands and thousands of trees in this forest, and all the beastly trees look exactly the same. And we're lost, thought Hiccup. Toothless didn't answer. He was too busy eating something. And there's the something. Oh, it's a winkle. Perched on one of the struts of the rope bridge. I mean, how are we possibly going to find her, said Hiccup in panting despair. It's like looking for a particular kind of plankton on a beach. I just have this horrible feeling that maybe this is finally the time, finally the adventure where I run out of luck. Toothless, what are you eating? Scolded Hiccup. I can't believe you haven't learnt your lesson. Is that edible? Oh, he's fine, wailed Toothless. Horrible, mean master, get cross with your poor Toothless. Look, it's not metal, it's a winkle. He held out the object that he had been gnawing at. It was indeed a winkle, a favourite treat of all the hunting dragons. They would stick their claws into the shells and draw out the little worms inside and gobble them up like squirming sweeties. Yucky, but true. Hiccup took the little brown shell off Toothless's claw. A winkle, said Hiccup thoughtfully. Winkles lived in the sea, not 250 feet up in the tree canopy. What is a winkle doing up here, said Hiccup. There's loads of them, said he, Toothless, pointing helpful wing at the rotting, mossy planks of the rope bridge. And so there were. Hiccup would not have noticed, so busy was he looking up at the treetops and shouting Kamikaze's name. But now that Toothless's sharp little dragon eyes had pointed them out, there they were, an intermittent trail of little tiny winkles, their warm brown shells glinting in the moonlight, sprinkled along the bridge at occasional intervals as if they were a path that led somewhere. And as Hiccup gazed at them, he thought of the fairy tale of the boy being led into the forest, into the house of a witch, and leaving a trail of little white stones so that he could find his way back. Kamikaze always kept a bag of winkles in her pocket as treats for her dragon. Stormfly, look, the little trail of winkles along the box. What if Kamikaze had dropped the winkles? Secretly, as she was marched to her prison cell so that a rescuer could follow her. Kamikaze was a resourceful person who thought on her feet like Hiccup, but just the sort of thing that she might think of. So with rising excitement, Hiccup followed the trail of winkles twisting and turning through the maze of rope bridges. Sometimes the path ran out for a while, but there was always another winkle, even if it was a way further on. And of course, Toothless thought the whole thing was a lovely game. Don't eat them, warned Hiccup sternly. We're going to need them to show us the way back to the Berserk village. Till at last the winkles came to a dead stop, at a tree a lot smaller than the tree where Hiccup and Alvin's mother had been imprisoned. His heart in his mouth, Hiccup searched the ivy with feverish fingers, and there it was, a door cut into the tree. Hiccup took out his key and prayed to Thor that it would work. He turned it, and as Hiccup had hoped, it was indeed one of the hysteric tribe's miraculous inventions, a key that opened all locks. Mentally, Hiccup sent a big thank you to the hysteric tribe, mad as mackerel, the lot of them, and highly dangerous, but they really were magnificent inventors. There was a loud click, and the door swung open with a creak. There was a trapdoor inside, which Hiccup pulled up. He leaned down into the tree as if he were calling down a well. Kamikaze, Kamikaze, Kamikaze. He's found her tree. A short silence. Maybe she wasn't there. Maybe he got it wrong. Maybe he was too late. And then a whoop of joy came echoing back up the tree trunk. A whoop that sort of cocky and pleased with itself could only come from one person. And sure enough, 1 minute later, Kamikaze's unbelievably tangled hair and ferocious little face came poking up through the trapdoor. Hiccup horrendous had it the third, grinned Kamikaze with unmistakable relief. Kamikaze, grinned Hiccup. I have to admit, said Kamikaze, making a pretence of carelessness. She hopped out of the tree and dusted herself down. I'm really quite glad to see you. I love it. From Kamikaze, this was the equivalent of a huge, tearful, desperate hug. I've escaped from practically every island in the archipelago, but in that prison I couldn't pick the locks, none of my keys worked, there was nowhere to dig to, and it was so dark it was beginning to get me down. Wasn't that I was frightened, she said aggressively. No, of course not, said Hiccup quickly. But it was quite... Her voice trailed off and she gave a little shiver. Luckily, Kamikaze was the kind of character who didn't stay down for long. She was like an India rubber ball that always pinned back into shape. Within 2 seconds of getting out, her usual swagger returned. I mean, I guess I'd figured it out in the end, but all the same, that was pretty impressive for a boy and a hooligan, of course. What I want to say is, thank you, said Kamikaze. No problem, said Hiccup, no problem at all. And now, said Kamikaze, drawing her sword, I'm going to go after Ugg. He was the one who captured me and brought me here, and he took my stormfly back with him to his ugly bug castle. You can't keep a bug burglar under lock and key. Oh, I love Kamikaze. Yes, Ugg seems to be using the berserk to get rid of his enemies for him, said Hiccup. But first I'm afraid we have to get back to the berserk village fairly pronto. Fishlegs is in a bit of a tight spot. Oh, goody, said Kamikaze. I don't mind taking a bit of a detour because I'm in a mood to spill some berserk blood, I can tell you. Those chain-bound, cheese-brained, wire-to-the-moon kidnappers, they'll regret the day they tried to put a padlock on the slippery heels and the hairy fingers of a bug burglar, I can tell you. Well, yes, said Hiccup, starting to run back in the direction of the berserk village. I can understand you might be feeling a bit cross with them, but don't forget there's only 2 of us, and there's, maybe a couple of thousands of them. I love this picture actually because Toothless is singing. He's back to his old self and he's singing this song that my children used to sing, which is, I know a song that will get on your nerves, get on your nerves, get on your nerves. I know a song that will get on your nerves, and this is how it goes. Pause. I know a song that will get on your nerves. Oh, that's a trip down memory lane. I remember my children singing that. It's very annoying. Oh, we're a tad outnumbered, said Hiccup, so I was thinking of just quietly releasing Fishlegs and these other people and just slipping away. 2,000 ex-berserks, yelled Kamikaze, frowning furiously. I'm going to kill them all, starting with the fattest and working my way down. Calm down, Kamikaze, suggested Hiccup. Everything's turning out pretty well, suddenly. Half an hour ago, it was all looking totally desperate, but now Toothless is cured, and I got away from the witch, and now I found you, and I'm feeling hopeful that my luck has turned on this quest. So keep your sword sheathed, and let's just burgle them away, shall we? I think we've still got time. Can't I just at least kill a very small one? Asked Kamikaze, hugely disappointed. Oh, go on, be a sport. It was so dark in there. Really are total meanies. So the 2 friends followed the trail of shining winkles across the maze of boat bridges back towards the sleeping village of Berserk, with rising hope in Hiccup at least that this quest might end happily for all and with no bloodshed. Hiccup might have thought differently if he could see the door back at the witch's tree he had left 20 minutes before. He should have locked the door after him. How could he have forgotten to do that? And now there was a scratching from underneath that trapdoor that could be mice or rats or a witch's bony fingernails. And slowly the door opened and 2 eyes peered out, scrunched up and streaming in pain from the moonlight. The witch was alive. And she's gonna get out. Have to have the next chapter tomorrow.